So you got two handouts today. You got your official assignment 205 handout, which is the final. I've alluded to it so many times. You guys have already read all about it, so this shouldn't be a surprise. But I figured you ought to get your actual final so that you knew what officially was required. So it is due on Monday the 18th, which is not the day of the 221 review. That's why it's on that day of May, not of April, of May. And so we still have time before it's there. The official class time on that day is from 10:30 to 12:30. So it's different timing because we're part of final schedule. And so you need to have your 4 views: daytime exterior, daytime interior, nighttime exterior, nighttime interior, right? 4 views, each one of which is printed on an 11 by 17 sheet. Okay, so you have 4 11 by 17 sheets. We're not doing any layouts or any big poster boards or any of that kind of stuff. You'll have those 4 views. We're going to hang them up in the back so that everybody can see what everybody else did. I'll bring you last semester's. I bind them all into a book afterward, and so you guys can look at last year's or last semester's book. But so they're due at 10:30. We'll hang them on the wall. I'll bring donuts. You guys can have donuts. And then, what? No, donuts. I bring donuts. It's morning still, 10:30. You get donuts. Anyway, I will bring donuts. I will at the same time have an evaluation of the course that I'll have you do, which helps me kind of tweak the course and make it better. And you guys say, oh, you spent too much time on this, or you didn't spend enough time on this, or whatever, and it lets me adjust. You guys will get the benefit of last semester's adjustments. They're coming up. I'm changing a few things around. So it does really help. So I'll ask you to do that. In the meantime, your final 4 images should be posted online. The absolute cutoff for your online post is 12:30 on that day. Right? At 12:30, class is over. That means if it's 12:31 and you say, but wait, I want to post something, I won't accept it. Does that make sense? So it's it's it. There's no more. There's no hold on, I need to turn in something. There's none of it. It's over. Class is completely over. It's kind of like if you don't file your taxes, you're screwed kind of thing, right? Since today is tax day, I should say that. So you absolutely, that's the hard, fast deadline, no exceptions. It is what it is. Okay? So that's 12:30 on May 18th. Okay? So I kind of went through what the requirements are. You're welcome to read it again. You're all kind of aware of that. Anyway, so today we're going to work on exercise 223, which is essentially the same thing as you did on Monday. The difference being that this time you're going to drop them into your actual building. So you're going to create lights. We're going to do a daytime interior rendering today. Okay? And so the truth of a daytime interior rendering is that typically when you're inside a house during the day, there are a few lights that are on, right? We're sitting inside here, and yes, I have the projector on, but the lights are on in the back, right? Even though it's daytime outside. So the purpose of this rendering is to kind of mimic that condition, where we have daylight outside, but we also have some artificial lighting that's been installed. So I will also apologize in advance. I am obviously sick, so I'm going to sound really nasally, and I'm probably going to sneeze a bunch while we're going. And I did bring my bottle of hand sanitizer so that when I come around to you, I will hopefully not get you sick, which is my goal. So anyway, I went ahead and I opened up my my exercise 221 file, which was my exterior rendering, right? My exterior daytime rendering. And assuming that I have things correct, everything should load in. My HDRI environment should still be here, right? Which it is. I'm going to click on preview just to make sure it shows up, which it's not. Yeah, it's there. I just wanted to make sure that those were there. I will also go into my materials and make sure they're loading. I usually pick one with some image background on it. So this was a concrete one. It shows up. That's a good thing, right? If this shows up as just a gray blob, then chances are your materials aren't loaded. If that happens, right-click on your material and say import material, and you can reload the same material. Generally, that happens if you plug your flash drive into a different port on the computer. So start to be really consistent about, if you always plug it in the first one or the second one or the third one or whatever, be consistent about which one. It's a Windows thing about drive letters that get confused, but anyway, hopefully that'll help. So anyway, I have that set up. Now the next piece of this is I really need to figure out where is an interior view that I'm going to want to look at. Okay, so if I look inside this building, I have stairs that are inside, so maybe I'd be interested in seeing the staircase, right? Or maybe I'd be interested in looking right through here, kind of out that window, maybe. That could be not bad, right? Now I need some place where I'm going to install lights. So I'm kind of looking for where would I be putting the lights, right? So in this room, right, this is not a full house by any means, but this kind of front room, yeah, it could be a bedroom or a living room or something like that. So it would make sense to have some lights that are up in the ceiling of this room, somewhere up in here. I might also want like a floor lamp or something along those lines, and so I can try to install those as well. So let's start with putting a couple in up on the ceiling here. I'm going to switch back into my shaded mode so I can see what it looks like in this view, and I'm trying to kind of get a little bit acquainted with inside here. So I'm going to bring in that same little can light that I used and that I created last class, but I want to kind of control where it's going to go. So I'm going to do some guidelines here as help. And so I'd like to go a certain distance from this wall in both directions. And I have a choice. I can set up guidelines first and then snap to the guides, or I can just drop my my light in on this corner and then move it in both directions. So I'll do it both ways. So the first way would be to just insert the block. So I'm going to go to Edit, Blocks, Insert Block Instance, and then I need to go find, right, that light fixture. And it was the can light 3-inch, and we'll go ahead and bring it in. And now remember, I want to embed and link, so if I went back to the original and edited it, I could fix it. And then I'll drop it in, and I'm going to drop it in right on that corner. Now obviously I don't want the light to be there, I want it to be back on my wall a little bit, but that gives me a place to start from, right? That's an interior corner. So I'm just going to go to Move, right, and we'll move, let's see here, maybe 2 feet in that direction, and 2 feet in this direction, like that. Then I'm going to copy this, and we'll put a few more in. We'll go maybe 4 feet in that direction, and maybe 8 feet in that direction. And then maybe we'll go 4 feet in this direction. So does it kind of make sense for how I'm doing this? And 8 feet in this direction. There we go. So I have those little can lights that have been put in the ceiling. Okay. So if I were to render right now, right, assuming that my material came through, my bulb material came through, which it should have. There's bulb, right? It's good. That's there. If I were to render, I'd see these glowing, but I still don't have the lights on the actual walls inside. So I have to create the lights because the lights belong in the final scene. So I'm going to go ahead and I've already kind of practiced with this, so we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a spotlight. Let me zoom in on this first one here. We'll snap to the center. Now my radius can be 1 foot or my diameter can be 2 feet. Either way is fine. And let me switch views here. I need it to be 1 foot. There it is. Alright, so now I need to move that spotlight down. Vertical, we'll say -1 inch, so it's a little bit below. Alright, so there it is. Okay. Now I need to adjust some settings. So color, 255, 214, 170. Okay. This is going to be in watts, and this is going to be 40 for now. And my decay is going to be inverse square. So I have those things set up. Now I need to do the same thing with this light that I did with the actual fixture. So I need to do a copy and we'll go from here, we'll go over 4 feet. Oh, come on. And then 8 feet. And we'll go this way, 4 feet. And 8 feet. Alright, so now we need to set up my view a little bit here. So let's get myself into this a little bit like that. Now, since it's an interior rendering, I may change from a lens of a 28 millimeter, I may change to like an 18 millimeter, which is much wider angle lens, and that can help to be able to see a little bit more. So maybe something like that. Right. And we'll talk about kind of cameras and that kind of layout in a little bit. A few more classes. So there I am. We'll go ahead and do a render, see how it turns out. All right, remember my render size is small right now on purpose. Of course it's not responding, right? Alright, so my lights are glowing correctly, but these lights, I got a bad one, and I should have verified it before I created it. So let me go back and build one more. And before I copied it, I should have checked to make sure that it worked. So let me do one more spotlight. Let's see if we can make this one work this time. Come on. So 1 foot in radius, 1 foot in height, move vertical, alright, and let's take a look at this. We're going to go to 40. I'll change the color after I confirm that it works. And so I'm doing a test render to make sure that it works. And such is the nature of doing these when they're live. We do have little gaps where the computer has to catch up. Not the results that I'm after here. Let's see if we can bump up this power. And I may also need to adjust my camera settings a little bit. Let's try it one more time and see. So while this is finishing, so because today is not particularly involved and you're jumping your lights back in, spend the extra time that you have finishing up your model, right? Make it better, start to put furniture in, those kinds of things, in addition to doing these lights. All right, so that is better. You guys can't see a thing, can you, anyway? I'm starting to see the halo the way I want it. I really need to render this a little bit higher. There it is. And you guys might be able to see it. Okay, so it's finally coming through the way I want. Notice that I'm also getting the sun and the shadow coming into the room, which is also part of the goal. And I'm getting the sky in the background out here. So that's the big part of what we're doing. You can tell that the color of this light is whiter than my other lights. That's because I haven't adjusted the color. So it's a kind of a combination of things. I up the wattage to make it a little bit brighter. And so from here, what I'm going to do is go back and then find like a piece of furniture or something to stick in this corner. And I'll probably insert a lamp. So let me go ahead and do that. Let me go to File, Insert. And let me go ahead and browse for a little floor lamp. Embed in link. Let's try to stick it here. Let me turn off center here. So maybe 2 feet. Feet. Yeah, another 2 feet. So I have that little floor lamp, and I'm going to insert a point light, which is right here. Stick it right into the center. There, and then we'll move it vertically. Vertical. Something like that. So it's in the center of that light. Now we need to adjust the settings for this as well. So we'll go 40 watts, inverse square, good. Color 214, 170. Say okay. All right. So now I have the little floor light, but I also have my can lights that have been installed, and so now I'm ready to do the rendering with Volt. Okay, so we'll let that run for a little bit, but the purpose here is that we're putting the lights in the scene, right, and letting it actually render out with our final product that has the daylight settings. You should have already loaded the HDRI and that kind of thing from outside, which makes it relatively easy to drop the lights in, okay, because it's just an interior daytime. If you haven't gotten to the point where you have the HDRI loaded yet, you should load the HDRI first, do the outside rendering. So if you haven't done that, take your time today and make sure you get that exterior rendering done, and then it's easy to do the interior rendering as well. I would also recommend saving your view once you get the view looking the way you want it to. I don't know if it's going to let me do it. No, it's not while it's rendering. Click on that little triangle, go to Set View, Named Views, and then save that view for later renderings. Are there any other questions? Now, it's relatively short on my part because a lot of what I talked about last class still applies. All right. So I'll let this finish up. All right, so there it is with all of the exterior lighting. It looks like my materials didn't come through correctly on the little floor lamp, so I'll spend a little more time getting that right. But you get kind of the gist of what we're going after today. And in this view, you can really see the shadows and the sun on the wall and that sort of thing. All right.